All right, so here we go, episode 35. It's weird because I actually remember the other day not the other day, but it seems like yesterday we did that one episode. I guess it was like week 8, and I was saying, wow, the season's already flying by. It's going to be week 17 before we know it, and here we are. Week 17's passed. Sadly, football is coming to a close. We got a month left, and then the offseason will be very interesting, especially for the Eagles.
It's a 365-day-a-year sport. Never stops.
And then speaking of the Eagles, they were quite the talk past few days.
Hey, you know what? We've been getting crapped on. We have the 6th overall pick in the draft. I'm happy about that. Everything to go into getting that, I don't know about that. I did want them to lose the game going into it, but hey, we got the draft pick. I'm ready to move on.
I mean, this is just my tea on the whole tanking the game thing. As someone who played sports, loves watching sports, whatever. Obviously, you go into a game, you want to win the game, you want to play your best. So, from a sports perspective, I did not like how that was handled. I don't agree with it. But here's the difference. It's not just a sport. The NFL is a business. And if you're told that, hey, we're going to lose this game on purpose because winning only hurts us, there's nothing to gain from winning. There's no moral victory in week 17 when you're not going to play another game for how many more months. Mm-hmm. So yeah, on principle, I don't like the idea of it, but people aren't looking at it, especially these like players on ESPN who are like former players who are now analysts are like blowing this way out of proportion. Integrity, especially Joe Judge, like integrity of the game, blah, blah, blah. Buddy, you won 6 games and you're crying.
Oh, I know. Wow.
You're crying because you didn't get in the playoffs after you won 6 games. Like, come on, man. It's just like, it's silly. People don't like Keyshawn Johnson was probably the only one who actually said something smart. He said, the coach doesn't have to explain to the media what he's doing. Doesn't have to explain his reasoning. It's his team. And they're doing it to better their organization. Why would they win a game to help another organization? Like they owe the Giants nothing. Sure, it's not the classiest thing to ever do, but they went from the 9th pick to the 6th pick. Would Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith, who just won the Heisman, be at number 9? I don't know.
Probably not. No.
So, people need to look at it. The NFL is a business. It's not always going to be pretty. And I guarantee if this game was at 1:00, people wouldn't be talking about it like this, but it was prime time for everyone to see. So
that's exactly what it was. And because the Giants were involved and they threw a hissy fit. Listen, Joe Judge smart in that point. Rally up your team. Crap on your opponents when you get a chance. We're division rivals. We don't like each other. Give them a moment for them to shit on Philly. I'm sure they would take it, and they did. Listen, we got the 6th overall pick. I wanted them in the game. I wanted them to lose. Obviously, I got caught in the game when it was close and all that, and like I found myself like getting excited when they did well. There, wasn't a ton of it, but they were doing okay. I mean, you're right. Everyone tanks. I think it is a little bit blown out of proportion, but this is the most brazen sign of tanking I've seen in a game. To change quarterbacks to a third-string quarterback who hasn't played at all this year in the 4th quarter when you're close. Yeah. That was pretty brazen. But you know what? The Dolphins traded away every veteran on their team before the season started last year. The Jaguars did just the exact same thing this year. Before the season started, they just traded away all their veterans. That is just blatant tanking in my eyes too. That's just they went in the season with the same mindset.
I just looked at it and like people were like, how could they take out their players? Blah blah blah. I'm like, but how is it any different than when like the Chiefs and Steelers sat their players to stay healthy for the playoffs? They are literally like lessening their chance of winning the game by taking out their best players. Isn't that what the Eagles did? Like why are you making excuses?
This instant, I firmly disagree with you on. The Steelers and Chiefs to the Eagles aren't even comparable, and I hate this comparison.
No, but on principle, it's the same idea.
On principle, no, it's not. The Steelers and the Chiefs won a ton of games early in this year, so they earned the right to not bring out all their players. They earned the right. The Eagles had no right in doing what they did because they didn't deserve it.
They had 4 wins. They had no business winning that game.
Of course. Yeah, but it comes back to the right. Do not group the Steelers and the Chiefs in with the Eagles because I find that just ridiculous. They have higher hopes and they have bigger things set on their horizon, and they've earned the right to lose a game purposely. And that's what they do. They sent their backups out there and they purposely lost the game because they wanted to stay healthy.
Do you realize what you just said? They earned a right to purposely lose a game. That's tanking.
No, it's not. When you have 13 or 14 wins, the Chiefs lost one game this season. They can go lose another if they want to. They have 14 wins to back it up. I listen. I agree with you that the tanking was a little blown over proportion. I'm for them doing it. I mean, I wanted them just to lose. It was an embarrassing fashion the way they had why they do that, and I think that's more on Washington. I couldn't believe how bad Washington is.
Yeah,
That
Alex
they
Smith
made
did
that
not
game.
look good at all.
Yeah, why don't you get on the fact that Washington? Because I think the Eagles were trying to lose that game even before the Sudfeld thing. Look how many people didn't play that had injuries as soon as we were eliminated from the playoffs.
Yeah.
I know, and Doug said, I know Slay was out there, Grant was out there, Kelsey was out there, sure. But someone's got to play. You can't sit everyone. There's someone has to go out there. And you know what? Those players probably wanted to play. And that's fine. If you want to go play, go ahead. But really, it came down to the whole reason it takes Sudfeld is because Washington stinks. They're a horrible team that couldn't beat the Eagles team without missing as many starters as they were. That is if I was Washington, I'd be really upset about that.
Yeah,
They're
I mean,
lucky.
I just it just like boiled my blood to listen to all these people on ESPN, like former players, just talk about it. Like, was it or Orlovsky said, it was a disgrace, and then someone found a tweet he said, or like way early in the season, like teams should tank for Trevor Lawrence. Like, you just said don't tank, and now you're telling teams to tank. And then what was it? Ryan Clark was like, I was just like, be better.
Listen, it's not the tanking. It's not the tanking that's the problem. It's the brazen act that Doug Peterson did it. Changing your quarterback in the fourth quarter in a game you're down by 3
Right.
points.
And I said I didn't agree with that. But
yeah, but
it is what it is.
that was the brazen act. I can't think of a more brazen tanking job in the middle of the game. Before the game is a whole other thing. If you sit down every player you have or trade or release or do whatever you got before the game, fine. But it's in the game. This is where you come up with a game plan, act like you want to win. The guy's been fighting. The team's been out there for 3 quarters fighting, keeping it close. And then you said, you know what? This is getting too close for comfort. We still have to lose this game. I thought I did enough, but I didn't realize how awful Washington is, even though they just won the division. I need to go now pull Jalen Hurts and ruin any chance we have to win the game. Listen, I've done it. In 1 month, this is what I was saying. In 1 month, no one will even remember this anymore. No one will care. The Super Bowl will be over. The playoffs over. You know what I will remember in 1 month is that we're drafting 6th, not 9th. And exactly. In 1 month from now, I would be very pissed that we were drafted 9th instead of 6th. I'm over the whole thing. The reason why I'm mad is just the blatant, blazing disrespect that in the game. Fine. I think
I'm saying I get it. I don't have a problem with someone being mad about it. I just have a problem with them not understanding it. So
yeah, but listen,
yeah,
there wasn't much going on in the league otherwise.
No, so. I mean, my last 2 thoughts on that is just it seemed very out of character of Doug to do it. I have a feeling it came from higher up.
Oh, it absolutely
maybe Howie
did.
was like,
you need to lose this game.
Because based on what we've seen, these like rallies of troops every December, you're gonna tell me he just decided to blow a game? It does not seem like him. And yeah, I mean, someone pointed out that they thought this whole thing was funny, especially with the whole Eagles Giants dynamic, because they said, you know what, I think that rivalry was kind of lacking for the last few years. It's gonna light a fire under it again.
Oh, so, you'll already see the buildup the next time they play next year. I'm for it. Yeah, I'm for it.
But yeah, like you said, not much happened in the rest of the league. Really wild game between the Broncos and Raiders that was well documented because I told you I had money on that game, so that was very
worked out well for you. That was good.
Yeah, they scored with like 20 seconds left, went for 2 and got it.
Actually, you know what? In one game that was interesting, I was watching pretty hard. The Texans and Titans. Man, we had a top 5 pick if A.J. Brown just doesn't make an inhumane play happen. Texans defense, I don't even understand how you let that happen. But then again, you also let Derrick Henry run for 250. So just defensively, you're not good at anything. But that was pretty brutal. I was so excited. All I heard was Roger Goodell come to the podium and, at number 5, Philadelphia Eagles select, and we had a top 5 pick. We were going to be in every mock draft, every ESPN thing, everything. Once you're in the top 5, it's a lot cooler. Mel Kiper makes the pick for you. Howie cannot be smarter than everyone in the top 5 because all the analysts agree in the top 5. But here we are. The Texans couldn't pull it off for us.
Yeah.
Very sad.
Yeah, that was something. Bills slaughtered the Dolphins. I just remember looking at that score and I was like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah. that was a good game for the Bills. Tua had 3 interceptions, but I watched that game again. One of them, the wide receiver fell down and it went right to the cornerback, and the other one tipped off a guy's hands, one of his own wide receivers, and went in the arms of a defender on the Bills. And then the third one was just they were getting shellacked at that point, and they just had to push the ball downfield every play, and he overthrew the guy.
Well, that's the issue with like it really depends. Like if I was a coach, my kind of philosophy would be if you draft a rookie quarterback, have him sit behind a veteran for a year or so, or at least half the season.
Well, that depends on who the quarterback is. Some people learn different. Some people
that's what I'm
learn
saying.
better watching. Some people learn better doing.
Yeah, and it seems like Tua is. We've seen like you said, 300 yards. We've seen a lot of good from him, but we've also seen like rookie mistakes, throwing bad passes, making poor decisions. So I think for him, it's better that he's playing now to get it out of his system. So then I wouldn't be surprised if next year Tua comes out and it's like on fire.
Listen, they're going to have a top 5 pick. I believe it's going to be 4th overall because the Texans are going to give away their second top 5 pick.
They
in
might
the
take a
last
receiver.
4 drafts. Yeah, that's what I mean. Put out Devontae Parker, Mike Gesicki, Jamar Chase if you want, or Devonta Smith, whoever. Tua and Myles Gaskin's a solid player. They're building something. That defense is nice. They need to bring up the offense and put some players around Tua. I mean,
Tua and Devontae Smith played together in Alabama, so that would be
true.
A nice.
They could use an offensive tackle too. So wouldn't be a bad pick for them. Really solidify that line.
Use an offensive tackle.
Yeah, it's true, but you're up there. I will say he had some really nice passes to Devontae Parker. Devontae Parker had some hell of catches where he just went up and got bigger than everyone and got the ball, but to put it where it needed to be. I really didn't think I looked at his stat line and expected him to play worse. I looked the game over again and I didn't see it. I actually thought he played pretty well. It's just the team was a disaster. They gave up punt return touchdown. 2 of those interceptions they scored on the guy falling down and it tipping off your wide receiver's hands. Like that's, what are you gonna do about that? But when you're playing a good team like the Bills, they're gonna capitalize on all those mistakes.
Yeah. Other teams, Chiefs set players, so they lost. Packers took care of business.
Yeah.
Saints took care of business. The Cardinals, Kyler got hurt, so they kind of were.
I know. What was it? Chad Streisler and John Warford?
I don't know. I changed. I think it was Steelers Browns were on the 1 o'clock on CBS, and I changed it to Fox. Or no, maybe that was the 4 o'clock game. I don't remember. But I changed it to Fox, and it was Cardinals Rams. I'm like, who the hell are these quarterbacks? Like, I didn't even know who was playing. Some guy with a tattoo sleeve I've never seen before, and then I don't even know who the Rams quarterback was.
Yeah, both those players I'd never heard of up until that Sunday.
It was an 18-7 game. That's pretty ugly. So,
what are you gonna do?
But yeah, beyond that, Cowboys Giants was actually a decent game to watch. It's very sketchy ending with that butt fumble recovery that the running back had, Gallman.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal.
I don't know how you just lose the ball when you have a clear first down to win the game. He's like, oh, let's make it interesting.
Hey, you know what? He got the ball back because you know what? If he didn't, he'd still be hearing it. Although it'd be funny because then instead of the Giants hitting us, it'd be the Cowboys, and I kind of like that a little bit better.
My friend, she's a Giants fan, and she texted me. She's like, my fiance just said, "Oh, look at that, Giants won." She's like, "No, you don't know the Giants. There's still time left." And then after she's like 3 seconds later, she sends me another text. I fucking told you that's when he fumbled the ball, and I was like, "The NFC East, baby."
Fair enough, yeah. I think it's funny that my Giants friends were rooting for the Eagles to win more than I was this week.
Yes,
that was the first time for that.
I saw that. All right, let's do our final. We could probably do playoff studs and duds, but do our final Week 17 studs and duds. Let's do it with the duds and on a high note.
Going with the duds?
Duds, because I think I know who was on the duds, but please enlighten us.
There's a few people. There's a few people on the duds list you might be familiar with.
Joyous day.
All right. So, third dud. He's actually from a game we were just talking about, and I think it's funny that you brought up the Wayne Gallman incident, which would have actually saved this guy's entire game, because he right before that made a horrific mistake, a mistake I expect to see from undrafted rookie quarterbacks playing in their first game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, with a minute and a half left, you're on 3rd and goal. You're on the 10-yard line. Well, first off, he took a sack on the first one to push him past the 10-yard line. And on 3rd down, you need a touchdown. You're in 4th down territory. So this isn't really like, try to make something happen that, isn't there. This is 3rd down. You're going to get another chance at this. You just need to not be an idiot with the ball, which unfortunately is exactly what happened. Minute and a half left. I tell you not, I don't know what he was thinking. He flings the ball up to, I want to say there was 6 Giants jerseys in the end zone waiting for that thing to land, and like one pathetic Cowboys guy waiting, knowing, oh, there's no way this is coming down to me. Surprisingly, it was picked off, and that cost them the game. The Gallman almost gave it back to him, but off that play alone, he deserves it. Because you know what? I said an undrafted rookie quarterback makes that mistake on their first play, like throwing up the ball in the middle of the end zone, the middle of the field. When it's third down, you need to score a touchdown. Your season's on the line, not your game. The season's on the line because you realistically could win the division if you win this game.
Yep.
And to just fling it up with no care in the air, you're the highest paid backup quarterback in the league. You're supposed to come in games like this and make things work, not be the reason your team doesn't win. And you are the reason you do win. That doesn't even go into the 2 dropped interceptions he had in the beginning of I think it was the first quarter. It was pretty rough. They were in the hands. Giants need to learn to catch. But the Red Rocket, Andy Dalton, what a pitiful performance. You know, when you signed him to being the most expensive backup, you expected more. And that play alone, once I saw that play at the end of the game with a minute and a half left in their own goal line, dude, just throw it away. You're going to get another chance at it. You need a touchdown, and it's third down. Just throw it away. But no, we're just going to throw it in the middle of the end zone where there's 6 guys waiting there for it. And surprisingly to no one, it got picked off and they lost the game.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal. It's weird because I've seen some Dallas fans say that they wouldn't be completely upset if they didn't re-sign Dak Prescott because they thought they saw enough of Andy Dalton. I was like, he's like 30-some years old. Like,
you know what? Watching that game, I was thinking, and completely different than the Dallas fans. I was like, how was he a starting quarterback for so long in this league?
He's
like those mistakes. Those are horrific mistakes. And like I said, he had two interceptions in their hands. They dropped them both in the beginning of the game. The game wouldn't have been close if they caught either of those. But what are you going to do?
He's a weird quarterback because he's talented. He just he's so inconsistent.
Yeah, I don't know. There's too much talent around him on that roster. You have 3 really good wide receivers and a stud running back. I know the offensive line had a ton of problems this year, but still, I kind of expect a little bit more. Yeah, it really wasn't something I would want to bring him back for. So moving on to the second dud. This is actually a special dud because he's by far the wealthiest dud that's ever been on this list. But this guy, and we touched on it a little bit. That's why I didn't go too much into the tanking job that the Eagles did. Mm-hmm. But you actually said something that I wanted to reiterate when you were like, Doug, coaches don't go out there just purposely lose games. They get the call from up above to make the call on that. And I remember hearing right before the game started that Howie and Doug were both, reports were out right before the game that they were both coming back. Uh-huh. Debatable. We talked about that plenty of times and whether they both wanted to come back. Obviously, I had no interest in Howie by week 4. Doug, I can live with, I guess, but, so be it.
Yeah.
You know why you make that decision? You know why that announcement comes in before the game? Because you're about to embarrass yourself on national TV and lose the game purposely.
Yeah.
I don't think when they made that announcement, they could have ever imagined that Doug would have to sit Nate Sudfeld in the fourth quarter to make it happen and get ripped apart by the media, national, local, wherever you want to be. I think the international media was probably talking about it. Wasn't much going on in football this week. But this guy, and I put him as just as much blame. We always talk about Howie, Carson, and Doug. Jeffrey Lurie is the second dud of this week.
Wow.
Because you know what? You know who says yes? Because this does not happen without his approval. You do not go out and purposely lose a game on national TV and prepare to be the laughingstock and just getting ripped apart all week by the media, which they currently are, unless the owner okays it. The owner doesn't guarantee both of them their jobs back. Because you think Doug, if he actually thought he was going to get fired, would go out and lose a game purposely? Do you think he gives a shit if we're drafting 6th or 9th if he's not going to be here?
Nope.
No, he's like, you know what? If we beat the Redskins, a division rival, we look good. Jalen Hurts looks good. That makes him look better. A win there, a good game, and a win against the Redskins, the division winner, with a quarterback that you've now tied your franchise to, that looks better for the coach.
Yeah.
The owner, and he's been getting more and more involved since the Super Bowl. And you know why I think he likes to keep Doug and Howie? I think because he's got them both where he wants them. He can be in all the meetings. He can call the shots, and he knows these guys. You probably have to break in a new coach or a GM if you're still trying to be active. But Jeffrey Lurie, I just want you to know, outside, and I was thinking about this, outside the Texans, your franchise is the biggest train wreck with the dimmest future out of all 32 teams. Besides Bill O'Brien cursing the Texans, what do the Eagles have going for them? They're $65 million of the cap. They have 4 wins this year. Their franchise quarterback they just signed to an extension like a year or two ago is on the trade market. He's already making reports that he wants to be traded. Now, after this debacle to purposely lose, now you have your star players. Miles Sanders came out, was vocal about it. You saw Jalen Hurts was easily pissed off during the whole game that they pulled him. That move makes your players look down at the coach that you just agreed to bring back to next year. Your players are pissed that Doug pulled this move, and he's your coach next year, and he's going to have to rally up the same guys to get him going. Miles Sanders isn't going anywhere. Jalen Hurts isn't going anywhere. So now Doug's got to go buy their respect back, get them to believe again, get them to play hard for him, because this coach just went and told you, I don't care. I want to lose. And that's a more of a reflection of the people upstairs. And the way they handled it, that's a reflection. That's not a Howie call. That was a Lurie call. That was a Lurie move, and that has to be approved by the owner before it even gets talked about or thought about, because that's an embarrassment. And just the state of where the Eagles are and him getting more and more involved, this is a long off season for Lurie. He needs to look at it and think, am I helping the team? Am I getting involved? I can't name a single owner that is involved, heavily involved on a winning team. Robert Kraft, probably the best owner in sports. What does he do? The only thing he's involved in is in Tom Brady, because Tom Brady's earned his right to negotiate with the owner. He doesn't have to bother negotiating with Bill Belichick or the GM or whatever. Robert Kraft sits back and he orders the rings, and he goes, he goes to the Asian massages, and he goes to the championship games, and he enjoys his life. And that's what an owner needs to do. You need to be aware and, what your franchise is doing, so you're not like this Chargers or Lions who just consistently suck and don't want to spend money. But look around your division. Snyder and Jerry Jones are very hands-on. I don't think I can think of an owner that's been hands-on and it's worked out for them. Lurie needs to look at where this franchise is, because he just brought back both the guys that I think are big culprits in this. And your team is calling out your coach and that loser mentality you put out on the field on national TV. And you know what? You're an embarrassment, and that looks bad on the owner, because you know what? None of this happens without his approval.
I agree. It's not a good. It's very awkward situation. I don't know what the relationship is with Howie and Jeff, but apparently he likes him, wants him to stay.
Of course.
So
I think they're boys. They're best friends. They probably hang out. He's probably like, you know what? I can go to Howie's meeting whenever. We can talk in the office all the time. He probably doesn't want a new GM that might shake things up and might not be as fun to bring into his office and chat about and make his calls with.
Yeah, I don't
know. But
know.
Needless to say, when you're a laughingstock this much, your owner has had to approve this. And for how bad the franchise is right now, I really think there's only one team. I think the Texans are the only team with a bleaker future than we have right now.
When's the last time you saw a team go from winning a Super Bowl to 3 years later being a train wreck?
I'm not going to say it's all Lurie's involvement, but he's become more involved in the team. Think he fired the offensive coordinator himself. Doug said he wanted to keep him, and he came down off his high horse and said, nope, that's not going to happen.
I saw some report that if Caldwell doesn't get a head coaching job, he should be like heavily considered for Eagles offensive coordinator. And I agree, but I think he's going to get an offer somewhere. He should.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I hope we fire all the assistants on the offensive side so we can go in looking for 2 new coordinators this year.
Yeah, we do need a D coordinator too. So that's what I'm saying. It's going to be telling this offseason how much they change, because like it's going to be a lot of turnover. They could do like a soft rebuild, honestly, and just get rid of, actually not even a full rebuild, and just plunge like half the team off and just roll with, if they decide to roll with Hurts. That's the thing though. Like, I don't even know, like today there's a report that Wentz is optimistic and he's like hoping they don't have to come to a divorce. It's like, somebody give me real information. I'm tired of hearing all these reports of he wants to get traded. Oh, he wants to stay. Like, that's what I'm saying. That's why people are so gullible. They believe everything they see. That's why you just got to let it play out, see what they decide to do, and go from there. But
hey, yeah, I know. Well, Wentz doesn't say anything about them being lies, so I'll leave it at that. On to the first stud. I don't think this is very much a surprise. First stud, I apologize. Yeah, yes. He's not a stud at all. I put most of my rant with Jeffrey Lurie, so I'll make this one quick. First stud is the guy that came in to start, and everyone in the national media ripped the team apart because it was clearly a sign of tanking. The guy who came in immediately threw an interception and then fumbled away the ball on a bad snap that he just didn't realize to just jump on. Dude, just jump on the ball. The bar's not set very high. It's pretty bad. Remember when we were a quarterback factory? Well, this factory just broke Carson Wentz, and now Nate Sudfeld, who's been sitting on the bench for I don't even remember how long. How long has it been Nate Sudfeld in the league? Because he looks like a rookie out there when
Been
he
on the
actually got his
team
chance.
for 4. I'll be honest. I've seen him play a couple times in preseason. He's never looked that bad.
This is
I
the
was
worst I've
shocked.
seen.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
never seen him play that. He's a decent. He was a decent backup, and then he just shat on the field. I don't know what happened.
Listen, you know
I'm
what?
telling you, maybe it was an Oscar performance. I don't know, but
I think Sudfeld came in there with full intention of warning. Maybe Doug Peterson knew somebody's like, dude, I know Sudfeld's trash. I know that even if he tries his hardest, we're not going to win this game. So
on
it
the
has
team
to be
for
done.
4 years.
If Sudfeld didn't come in and suck immediately and awfully as horrific as he was, then I don't think the scrutiny would be as bad. It's just the fact that you made the switch in the fourth quarter in a close game, and the guy you brought in was a joke. That's
It didn't
why
help
it's
that
so brutal.
Washington kept us in the game by turnovers, back-to-back drives.
That was why Sudfeld came in, because you think that sitting the 9 players or whoever didn't play the game would be enough to let a team that's fighting for the division win, but apparently it wasn't. So we had to make the Sudfeld move.
He probably could have let Hurts in. He wasn't playing phenomenal. He was like 7 of 20 for 70 yards when he pulled him. So,
but we were too close to winning, and that wasn't.
Well,
was not.
He was getting it done with his legs. That's the only thing. But
listen, I want to know, be a fly in the room, if they actually won that game. Do you think Lori and Howie would have more pissed at Doug if they won than if they actually lost? Because
it was a
clear
lose for Doug.
This was a clear organization was all behind you and losing here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, listen, when you get brutalized in national media for being as blatantly disrespectful to the game or the oath or whatever Joe Judge wants to throw around, because Nate Sudfeld came in the game, Nate Sudfeld, you are easily a number 1 dud. You don't get this much hatred for tanking a game purposely unless you're the number 1 dud.
Hey, respect to the game, buddy. You get paid to do a job. That's the precedent. If there was respect for the game, we'd have a different kind of NFL. But
yeah, I hear you. But Nate Sudfeld, if you ever want to tank, when next time the best quarterback prospect is coming around, I guarantee Nate Sudfeld is getting signed to one of those teams that won him.
I've already seen mocks that have the Eagles taking a quarterback in the first round. I'm like, get the heck out of here.
Yeah. If the Jaguars knew how bad Sudfeld was, he probably would have been signed week 1. They probably would have traded for him. They're like, you know what, get this guy on this team. We want to lose every game. But so that's the duds, the final wrap up for the year. I thought it was a fun year of duds and losers and nonsense, but on to the better stuff.
Yeah, let's hear the studs.
So third stud.
Do we have clues or we're just going right into it?
All right, this one I'll give you a clue. You can play along this time.
Okay.
So this week we had a 2,000-yard rusher, as you may have heard.
Very casually.
Yeah. This stud was actually the last college player to have multiple 2,000 yards rushing seasons. This stud also sent his franchise rushing record this week. And he also had more rushing yards in the first half than his quarterback did passing yards. Any guesses?
Derrick Henry.
Do you really think Derrick Henry runs for 2,000 yards? He goes for 250. I'd make him the third stud. You've been playing along with this game for a while now.
You just said he ran for 2,000 yards.
Okay, my God. So there was a 2,000-yard runner this year or this week.
Yeah.
This guy was the last player to run for multiple 2,000-yard seasons in college. There you go. You heard the 2,000-yard part and just forgot the rest.
Yeah, really threw me
That was
off.
the teaser. That wasn't the hint. That was the teaser.
Oh, it was the Colts running back. Taylor?
Correct. You didn't. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It took you longer than I hoped for, but yeah, all the things I said still apply. Jonathan Taylor, 253.
Yeah.
2 touchdowns. Just honestly, one hell of a game.
I saw that and I thought it was like someone mistyped it. It was supposed to be like 153, and they're like, no, 253. It's like, God.
The Jaguars stink, so take it with a grain of salt. But Jonathan Taylor had a hell of a game. He had 2 big runs, looked really good doing it. Next year, keep an eye out for Jonathan Taylor because that offensive line is still one of the best in the league. Depending on what they do with the quarterback, I think that they're going to be bringing in someone younger and a little bit better than what Philip Rivers was this year. I have to think that this is the year they move on from him. Especially with all these quarterbacks, Stafford, Wentz, Jimmy G, Matt Ryan, possibly all these veteran quarterbacks that are on the market. I wouldn't be surprised if they upgraded. If you bring in a younger quarterback that can do a little bit more, and that offensive line, Jonathan Taylor, man, he can catch the ball too. I like him next year. I think he's gonna be a dynamic player. This last game really showed off his skills and really ended the year on a high note for him. I mean, he's got the playoffs, but still, this was a huge game for him. I'm very impressed by his performance.
I think it was during our fantasy episode. I think Josh was the one he wasn't very high on Taylor. I don't remember.
Something
I thought
great better
maybe.
than us.
But yeah, he's I mean, when you run for 2.5 football fields, you're doing something right. So
Yeah, 2.5 football fields indeed. That's how you should just measure people, by how many football fields they ran that week.
it's impressive.
So moving on, I do want to give one shout out to an honorable mention, because I had him in as the studs, but then I kicked him out for Jonathan Taylor so he could look at that stat line. I was like, oh man, I can't. There's just no way. Justin Herbert, another rookie, looked great. He also set a whole bunch of rookie records. I think like passing touchdowns, passing completions or whatever. I think the only one he really missed was like the yards. I think he missed, but really great game. He had like 3 touchdowns. I know it was against the backups of the Chiefs, but he had one toss, the Mike Williams touchdown. If you go look at the highlight, the longest one, I was watching that live. As soon as it released his hand and I saw Mike Williams check, I was like, that was an Aaron Rodgers type throw. Like there's throws that I've only seen Aaron Rodgers make. The way he just flicks the wrist and it goes 50 yards down the field exactly where it needs to be. That was that throw. Justin Herbert just flicked the wrist and it went 50 yards downfield and it was money, no issue, touchdown. That play alone, I was like, God, that'd be a stud. And then Jonathan Taylor put up 250 and I was like, all right, fine.
I will say, I know we're very cautious about Justin Fields from Ohio State, but I was watching that game against Clemson and he throws a pretty ball. Like he hit a guy for like a 50-yard bomb and it was like perfect spiral, perfect placement, right on the money in the stride. And I was like, damn.
He looked really good. I mean,
good in the NFL.
I will say I kind of ate my words a little bit on that, because he looked amazing against Clemson.
He did.
You know what? I was thinking about, because now we're all in the draft season. If he looks good again on Monday, we could have 3 quarterbacks taken before the Eagles pick, and that'd be great. That would be even better. Listen, I'm not sold on the quarterback pick. I mean, listen, you suck as a team, so you got to look at them, because you know, teams that draft that high always should be looking at the quarterbacks. But I'm still more around drafting just a stud than bringing in another quarterback into this so-called factory.
We have what? We have the Jets, Jacksonville, Bengals. Bengals don't need a quarterback. Miami doesn't need a quarterback. Atlanta could probably I could see Mac Jones or Fields going to Atlanta, honestly.
I mean, that one depends on just on Matt Ryan.
Or they could take another Alabama wide receiver, because that's just what they like to do.
It's true. Listen, it doesn't hurt. So, talking about wide receivers, second stud, he is a wide receiver.
How about that?
I will say, now he had hardly a slouch of a game. 9 receptions, 133 yards. But from what I've seen him through the year, this was not the best game he's ever had. I mean, he's had more impressive ones. But 9 receptions, 133 yards is nothing to slouch out. But you know what? There was something more impressive about this week. And since it's the end of the week, I added in some, season totals to go along with it.
Okay.
My man, in a historic wide receiver draft, and one that honestly I think lived up to the hype. I think that the rookies that were playing this year played really well. I thought they all pretty much made a case for them. Some that I didn't see coming, like what's his face, Chase Claypool. I didn't know he would be one of the better wide receivers, but he just dominated. This guy was another one that I didn't really see. I thought he was good. I didn't see him as being one of the top wide receivers from this class, let alone one of the top rookie wide receivers in the history of the game. So my boy, Justin Jefferson, putting up 1,400 yards, 7 touchdowns, 88 receptions on the year, breaking the rookie wide receiver record in the process, is incredibly impressive. He did that with a number 1 wide receiver on the side of him that takes his own targets, on a team that's not the best in the world, but he got it done. He was amazing. He went for 133 this week. And I got to say, of this rookie class that looks really good, he's by far the best of the wide receivers. I'm interested to see how all their careers go with Judy, Ruggs, and Lamb and Claypool. But you know what? That's a really impressive record to beat. He beat out Randy Moss, a Hall of Famer, and Quan Bolden, a really good player as well. So that alone, I think that's an impressive one. He should be the offensive rookie player of the year. I know Herbert's amazing, and I just talked about how great he looked, but we give it to quarterbacks all the time. Give it to a guy that broke a record that's not easy to break. Because wide receivers, a lot of times it depends on your situation. If your quarterback stinks, or if you're drafted really high and your team stinks, or whatever reason, it's tough to put up those yards. But he had a great year. Not taking anything away from him, so he deserved the stud this week.
Yeah, I mean, last year Kyler won it, but I could have argued, AJ Brown was more fitting for that.
Oh yeah, I feel like they give it to the quarterbacks all the time.
Yeah, but since you brought that up, I actually have in front of me. So the 2020 rookie class receiving yards leaders, like you said, Jefferson had 1,400 yards. Then CeeDee Lamb had 935. T. Higgins, a surprise, had 900.
T. Higgins, yeah, from him.
Claypool had 873. Jerry Jeudy had 856. Brandon Ayuk, they used him all over the field. He had 748. And then Mooney, the Chicago guy, had 631. Rager's in there somewhere. He didn't have too many yards, but
you know what? Mooney made some nice plays this week too.
Yeah,
he had a really nice catch on a deep ball that he just snagged out of the air. Listen, Mooney, Claypool, Jeudy, Ruggs, Ayuk, Jefferson. I like Pittman from the Colts. You mentioned T. Higgins. Listen, I still like Rager. I think he's still a pretty good player. He's not Justin Jefferson. We all know that. But I still think he's got hope. He just needs to get healthy.
I don't think Rager's a number one, but I think he could be like a number two or like a flashy slot. So
yeah. But listen, I think this wide receiver class was hyped up, and I actually think it lived up to it pretty much. Well, when one of them sets the rookie record, it's hard to say they didn't.
Like you said, it'll be fun to watch them like grow and see how their careers kind of flourish. So
yeah. So all right, well. That was my second stud, and on to the first stud. Again, this was another guy who he was another. I guess I could say he was a kind of year-long, stud choice like Jefferson was, but
he's almost so good that he could have been on every time, but then it would have been fair to other players.
There was honestly some weeks where that was exactly his. Remember the week where he went for like 215 against the Jaguars?
Yeah, and I yelled at you.
Yeah, but
you're like, yeah, but that's nothing for him.
It really isn't. Like 215 against the Jaguars, and then they just gave him 250 to Job Taylor, so it made me look a little bit better. But
I guess
34 carries. To be honest, they were going to keep giving him the ball until he hit 2,000, so it didn't really matter in that argument. Yeah. 250. He ran for 250 yards in one game.
2.5 football fields.
2.5 football fields, exactly. Go along with 2 touchdowns. I just 7.4 yards per carry. He broke the 2,000-yard eclipse, which is only done by he was the 8th player to ever do it. You're pretty much talking about all Hall of Famers in that list. So that's an incredible thing to be a part of. Did you know that he also won the Triple Crown for running back this year with the most rushing touchdowns, rushing yards, and attempts?
Wow.
He also, and I heard this stat and I was almost like choked on myself. The last 4 games, has 710 rushing yards. He's nearly averaging 200 yards per game the last 4 games.
700 yards.
710. Don't forget his other 10. That's a first down. Don't cut off the first down.
I've come to the assertion that he is not from Earth. Like he's got to be from a different planet.
So me, you, and him aren't the same species.
No, we're not the same species.
we might be told that we're all humans. No, we're not. I'm not the human that Derrick Henry is. That's a different species. That's a mutation of our human species.
Something different. I wasn't even like you said with Jonathan Taylor. Like you see 250 yards, you're like, wow, that's amazing. I saw that from Henry, and I was like, that's used to it. Par for the course. It's like,
well, you also knew against the Texans. I think this is his 3rd game that he's had over 200 yards against them. Like you knew they were going to run the ball with him until he got to 2,000.
He's insane.
Really incredible. But yeah, first stud is Derrick Henry. He's got to be the offensive player of the year. I mean, you can give Rodgers an MVP, but he's got to be the offensive player of the year. 2,000 yards is honestly one of the most impressive statisticals, season statistics in any sport.
Who was the last to do it? AP.
Yeah.
That was like 2013?
2012.
2012?
2012, yeah.
Okay, I was close.
Yeah, you were good, yeah. But did you know that Derrick Henry, or now the Titans have had 2 running backs go for 2,000 yards? Only franchise to do that?
Chris Johnson, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a little interesting tidbit. But, yeah, he's awesome. He's going to carry them in the playoffs. It's amazing he doesn't break down. That's what's incredible.
I know. Because that's it. Like
he's so physical. Always runs with 30 carries. Every year, you're like, are the touch is gonna catch up to him? And he looks fine.
He looks better.
Defenders look injured.
I mean, he's like we said, he's built like a freight train. So it's like running into like pool noodles when he's getting tackled. So
yeah, it's nuts. But those are the last studs of the year. I don't know if you have any critiques or comments on those studs and duds.
No, I'll say I enjoy letting you run wild with our studs and duds, full control. You enjoyed the hints and the information. Felt like I was in
Yeah,
class. It was good stuff.
always. As I've told you, it's a free masterclass, and I haven't even charged you yet. We've been doing this for what, 6 months now? Haven't charged you for a single
Yeah,
masterclass.
we haven't needed the master class too often. We're usually just doing recaps, but
Mm.
good to see. So yeah, moving on. We'll do our final power rankings, and then do our final game picks of the year. So we're gonna start off number one, I guess. So we had Chiefs staying at number one, as they deserve to be.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely the Super Bowl favorites. Number
Yeah.
two, Bills, biggest threat to the Super Bowl favorites, I'd say. Then three, we had the Packers. Four, we have the Saints. Number five is the Seahawks. Six, the Tom Brady Buccaneers. Still weird to say. Seven is the Ravens. Eight is the Titans. Nine are the Browns. Congrats to them for finally making the playoffs after I don't
Yeah,
even
but
remember how many years.
not to cut you off, what it wouldn't be more Browns fashion than to end their 18-year playoff streak and then have their head coach and a couple players test positive, and then you see two other players got arrested for drag racing, although it didn't seem to be as serious.
Yeah, I
But,
saw.
but like only the Cleveland Browns will break an 18-year playoff curse, and the head coach to do it won't even get a chance to coach the playoffs. Just
The season
unreal.
just ended in
Oh,
Monday and
oh,
Tuesday.
and Olivier Vernon ruptured his Achilles while you're at it. So
Yeah,
just the Browns doing Browns things, even in their best season, and like since I've been alive for them, you really can't avoid the Browns being the Browns.
yeah. We've had like Josh Jacobs got a DUI, and like you said, players were drag racing. It's like what? This season just ended. Everybody relax. Like,
I mean, the Browns. Well, listen, they probably closed practice in the facility, so the Browns probably like,
yeah.
well, we got nothing else to do. So
But yeah, so the Browns at nine, and then number 10, the Steelers to wrap it up.
okay,
Funny that they were what 11-0, and now they're the 10th best team. But after that, so game picks for this week. I went 12-4, as usual. You went 11-5, as usual, right behind me.
This is what was the one game that I got? Oh, I guess we did different ones. So
Yeah, it might have been you picked. I mean, I picked the Raiders. You picked.
the
Forget who they
Broncos
played now, but
did they?
Denver. Yeah.
Oh
So
well,
on the season, 256 games we picked. I went 181-75, pretty damn
disgust
good.
me.
You went 164-92, also pretty damn good.
Effective.
So to pat ourselves on the backs there, good stuff.
I think we earned it. I think we earned it.
Yeah, that's a pretty impressive record. So moving on, so we can do our recap of what we thought was going to happen in the year.
Let's do it. I want to see how smart I was from the beginning of the year today.
So yeah, so I took all of our, I went through and looked at all of our standings records. So we like we said, we picked all the games every week before the season started, and every team had a record and standings. So in the NFC, my division winners were the Saints, which was correct, the
Okay.
Eagles, not correct, the Seahawks, correct, and the Packers, which was also correct. So not too bad.
Well done.
But my wild card was the Cowboys. They didn't make it.
Hilarious.
Niners, they didn't make it.
Tough.
And the Bucks, so got one of them right.
Okay, look at you go.
AFC, you had, or excuse me, AFC, I had Chiefs,
Okay.
the Bills,
Nice.
Texans, so that was incorrect. And then I had the Ravens, so I said they were going to be in playoffs, but picked them in the wrong
Okay.
spot. And then
Fair enough.
wild card, I had Browns, Steelers, and the Chargers. Chargers got kind of close, I guess.
Listen. I've been preaching it for weeks now, so I do have to comment a little bit on it. They fired Anthony Lynn, and you know what? That is a great move for the Chargers. Although now hold on a second. It's like I know they finally listened to me after the weeks I've been telling how bad of coach Anthony Lynn is. The rumors I'm hearing that they're interviewing Jason Garrett. They go get, oh my God, if you get Chase,
bring Lynn back
Jason
at that
Garrett,
point.
then just trade Justin Herbert. Don't ruin his career. Let him go somewhere else. Like if you're going to be a cheap, I heard a report that it cost them a good amount of money to fire Anthony Lynn because they're just a poorly run organization. So I assume everything they do is just idiotic. But I heard that went in the factor into the coaches they're looking. So basically, they're looking in the bargain of coaches. When you have a franchise franchise quarterback when you should be competing now with that franchise quarterback on a rookie deal. I don't know. I don't know if they were true rumors, but when I heard of the Jason Garrett report, that's what I heard to go along with it.
That sounds like a terrible situation.
What are you gonna do?
But yeah, so that was mine. So I got of the 14 playoff teams, I had 9 out of 14. So that's not terrible.
Not awful.
Then your NFC, you had the Seahawks as your number 1 seed.
Ooh, look at me.
You had the Saints, correct?
Okay.
But then you had the Eagles, so that was not correct. And then you had the Vikings. You were very high on the Vikings.
Damn it.
Your wild card was the Bucks, so that was good.
Okay, smart.
Then you had the 49ers, and then you had the Cowboys.
You
had the Packers, the number 1 seed, out of the playoffs.
Okay, that didn't age well. All right, I'll take the mulligan on that one. Damn, why would I pick the Cowboys?
AFC, you had Chiefs,
Okay.
Steelers,
Okay.
Bills,
Nice.
Texans.
Damn, I fell for the same trap.
Wild card, you had Ravens, Titans, Browns. So
That's pretty. I think I got all the wild card teams right, unless the Titans won the division.
Flip Titans to and Steelers, and yeah.
I'm curious, what were we thinking when we picked the Texans? Because they traded away DeAndre Hopkins. Like, what did we actually think was going to happen? Now that I know we both
same thing we thought with the Eagles. They are literally the same teams, but in different divisions, but different conferences. Think about that.
I don't know about that. I wouldn't go that far.
Not same, but they're very similar, and like they should be up here, and they're so far down. I can't even show you. So
I just don't know why I would have looked at the fact that they made one of the worst trades in NFL history, and I think everyone knew that at the time. I didn't need to see the season play out to know that. And they traded away DeAndre Hopkins, and I still thought, oh, you know what? This is a division winner.
You had the Vikings going 12-4, Packers going 8-8, and then you had
really missed that one.
You had the Texans going 11-5.
And what'd you have the Texans go? Probably 11-5,
I had the Texans go 10-6, so not too much better.
Of course.
I'll give you since I beat you in the game picks, you'll be pleased to hear this. So I took all of the records that we picked before the season started, and then I looked at how it actually finished. So for every game we were every game we were off, I gave us a point. So for example, the Eagles were 4-11 and whatever, and so they had 4 wins. I said they were going to have 11, so that was +7. See what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah, I got you.
Okay, so I added it all up. I had 78.5 points. Okay. You had 76.5 points. So you beat me.
That's actually not that bad. Points. That's like two wins or losses for every team.
Yeah, we really nailed the Jaguars and Jets though. We said they were going to be the 2 worst teams, and sure enough, they were.
I mean, to be fair, that wasn't really hard to predict.
My correct records: I had the Giants going 6-10, the Jets 2-14, the Raiders 8-8, and the Bengals. I was close. I said they were going to go 5-11, and then they were 4-11-1. You had Jags 1-15, Bucks 11-5, Cardinals 8-8, Jets 2-14, Titans 11-5, Browns 11-5, Chiefs 14-2.
Superior at this.
Yeah, I was impressed.
Smart. Look,
I was shocked.
You know what? I would have probably done so much better if I didn't idiotically think that the Vikings were going to be much better than That's probably what killed me, was that I thought the Vikings would do what the Packers did.
If you had gone back and picked all the games like you did before the season started, you probably would have beaten me.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. If I just didn't, I don't know why I bet all my money on Kirk Cousins instead of Aaron Rodgers.
And then our draft picks. So I just did top 10. I had Jags at the 1. Then it was Jets, Washington, Chicago, Panthers, Dolphins, Bengals, Lions, Rams, Giants.
Wow, you really didn't like the Dolphins.
I guess not. Well, you had Jags, Jets, Giants, Washington. You did not like. You gave the Giants like 2 wins.
I know. I think I gave them both 2 wins. I really was down on both of them. But to be fair, they both sucked. I just didn't expect Joe Judge and Ron Rivera to be great coaches.
Chargers at 5, Lions, Panthers, Bears, Bengals. You had the Colts, the 10th pick.
I know. That's all that Philip Rivers.
You had them going
but,
5-11.
Okay, but to be fair,
You did not like Philip Rivers.
I did not.
Don't like Philip Rivers.
To be fair, Philip Rivers was not the reason that I was wrong there. That was great defense and then being able to run the ball.
True. Of course, the actual draft is going to be the Jags, the Jets, Dolphins from the Texans, Falcons, Bengals, Eagles, Lions, Panthers, Broncos, Cowboys. I mean, no one would have been able to say, who would have guessed Eagles, Cowboys, and Falcons would have been picking top 10. I mean, but it is what it is.
But here we are.
Any thoughts before I go into the playoff picks?
I'm really mad at myself about the Packers and Vikings pull, and I'm really surprised that we both picked the Texans. I don't remember exactly what my reasoning was or yours, but that just seems pretty foolish on both our parts. We probably ripped them apart for the DeAndre Hopkins trade, and somehow we both picked them to win division. So that did surprise me. You know what? I wrote with the Vikings, but I was surprised. I still thought they were going to be a pretty solid team. The Packers I just disrespected, but other than that, it is what it is. I didn't think I was too wrong on some other stuff.
So I had. Can you see this?
You had the Eagles. Yeah, you had the Eagles as the number 2 seed.
So yeah, the chart is mine. I couldn't find a chart for you, but
okay, fair enough. I see the production favors one
yeah,
way than the other.
Well, I mean, you didn't give me one, but I had I had the Steelers upset the Texans, and then they would play the number 1 seed Chiefs. I had the Ravens finally winning the game over the Chargers. Then I had the Bills beating the Browns. Obviously, we were both very high on the Eagles. Had them beating the Bucks, had Seahawks beating the Niners, and then I had the Cowboys beat the Packers. I must have been on drugs.
Must have listened to my argument about why the Vikings are better than the Packers.
Yeah, and then you had Bucks over Vikings, even though you've raved about the Vikings in preseason. Eagles over Niners, and then Saints over Cowboys, and then in the AFC you had Browns over Texans, Bills over Ravens, Steelers over Titans. Wow, you thought Lamar Jackson was going to lose 3 years in a row in the playoffs in the first round.
Okay, wait a minute. He still can. Let's not rule that out. It's still very much possible.
Then you're
get on me if he actually wins.
Your divisional was Steelers over Bills, Chiefs over Browns, Saints over Eagles, Bucks over Seahawks, and then you had Chiefs over the Browns. You had the Browns in the championship. That
doesn't sound right.
That doesn't sound right.
That sounds like it was foolish.
And then you had the Saints over the Bucks. And then Super Bowl, you had the Saints beating the Chiefs. So I had Chiefs beating the Steelers in the divisional, Ravens winning another game over the Bills, getting into the championship, Eagles over Seahawks again. It is what it is. And then the Saints beating the Cowboys. And then I thought Eagles' expectations were get to the championship game and lose, so I went with that. I had the Saints and Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and I also had the Saints winning. I mean, look, the Niners had a lot of injuries. Eagles obviously had a lot of injuries and quarterback and coaching issues. Cowboys lost.
Terrible. Don't forget that point.
If Prescott, their defense got slightly better. So I think if they had Prescott, they probably would have won that weak NFC East, and they probably would have made the playoffs.
Easily. Yeah, no, if Prescott was there, that's an easy division for
them. Chargers, they came close. I think they went, 7-9?
Yeah, but they're inept when it comes to late game management. But they did get rid of that. So
yeah, and then the Texans, they were just a bomb. So I don't.
That one I still can't get over.
Yeah. So I obviously changed mine a bit here. So I have. Actually, we can just get right into our picks then. So for first game is Ravens and Titans. Actually, hold on. Let me make sure I have the. So let's start on Saturday. Colts and the Bills at 1:00. I picked the Bills. Who are you going with?
I'm going to say the Bills, We got to be fair though, because you did ask me these questions before we started filming, and I'm not gonna lie, don't remember who I picked. So
You know
I might
what?
be changing
You're
my
right.
answers.
I did ask you these, and I already forgot, but I wrote them down. So do not
Good.
fret. I'm
Yeah,
glad
don't
that
make
your
me change my
memory
answer.
is so poor that you already forget your answers.
Well, you forgot that you asked me the question, so
All
who's
right,
got better
fair
memory
enough.
now?
Fair enough. Yeah, you picked the Bills.
Okay.
And then the 4 o'clock game on Saturday is the Rams versus the Seahawks. I will take the Seahawks, and you said that the Rams are going to win.
I'm taking the Rams. Listen, it's a divisional matchup, and there has to be an upset somewhere, and I don't see it coming from anywhere else really.
And then the 8:15 game on Saturday is the Bucks versus the Washington football team. Yeah, I mean, I just it's a shame because I think Washington was. I thought Alex Smith was going to be like, had this like momentum going, and that defense was playing really good. But I don't know. I think the defense could still give Brady fits, but I could see the Bucks winning by like 2 touchdowns and a field goal. So
Washington looks so terrible this week that we had to put
offensively
subs
they
on.
were inept. So
yeah, no, Washington sucks. That's gonna be a bloodbath.
And then Sunday we have Ravens versus Titans at 1 o'clock. I think, especially since the Ravens have been super hot to end December, I think they're going to go in and dethrone the King Derrick Henry. Finally, Lamar can get his playoff record to a better looking start. So
yeah, no,
after
I
losing
like
2
that.
straight in our back-to-back seasons, so
I like that pick. I listen. The Ravens games, I think, for like the last 6 weeks. So
yeah, I mean
they
were like up and down most of the season, and then they caught fire. So it's all it takes to get ready for the playoffs.
It's true.
Then we have the fact that the Bears are even in the playoffs makes me sick.
I know.
I
I
mean,
wanted
so
to say
does
that.
Washington, but
Yeah, but you know what? I was gonna say that because like that Packers game, Trubisky looked awful. I was gonna put him on the duds list. Like I was like, dude, you have so much chance. Like you're literally win this game and you have your Blake Bortles contract. That like Nagy's already back, so I have to assume Trubisky's coming back. Like all he had to do was win that game. He didn't have to win the playoffs. Just win that game. Look good. Go in with some momentum. Nah, that wasn't gonna happen. So
no. So yeah, I'm taking Saints in that one. And then the 8:15 game, Browns versus Steelers. I wish I could pick the Browns, but like you said, Stefanski won't be coaching. That's a huge loss.
plus they looked terrible against the Steelers.
And they didn't look
backups.
good against, backups on the Steelers. So
Yeah,
I got the Steelers this one.
Yeah, me too.
So that's our wild card wrap up. And then, so what I did from there, I see Chiefs beating the Ravens. The Bills, I think, beat the Steelers. I think it's like that'll be a really good game. I think a lot of defensive plays made. Then I have the Saints beating the Seahawks. I don't know. I think the Seahawks beat the Rams, but then I don't think they kind of like have been all over the place since the middle of the season, I would say. I mean, they came back against the Niners, which was really impressive in like 5 minutes, but yeah, we'll see. And then I have the Packers beating Tom Brady and the Bucks. And then from there, Chiefs over Bills, Saints over the Packers. And then I have Chiefs Saints Super Bowl, but I have the Chiefs winning 35-28. I get it that I think the Breeze retirement possibility factors into them getting to the Super Bowl, but I think the Chiefs are just superior team. So
fair enough. I won't argue too much on that one.
And then Tim, you have I don't remember your divisional now, but you have the Packers versus the Saints in the championship and Chiefs versus Bills, just like I do.
Yeah, and I'd stick with that. Well, I took the Saints and the Chiefs before the season started as my Super Bowl pick, so I had to stick with it.
Well, so did I.
Oh, fair enough. But yeah, and then we obviously got the Chiefs and the Saints matchup, and something about this Drew Brees thing reminds me of the Peyton exit because that defense, the Saints defense doesn't get enough credit because everyone talks about the Steelers and the Colts. That defense is legit, and I think it's a defense that could give Mahomes some issues.
Mm-hmm.
And just like that Denver Broncos team with Peyton, They had a ton of offensive weapons, and their defense was great. And that's exactly the way the Saints are built right now. And I think the creative stuff they do with Taysom Hill just gives them another wrinkle, and that's gonna be tough to stop. Plus, you
Yeah,
have Alvin Kamara, so
I think if they have a healthy Mike Thomas, a healthy Kamara, no bad ribs, Drew Brees, they could do it. And the only reason I have them over the Packers really is because I think Green Bay is good enough to beat good teams, but I don't think Rodgers alone can like beat a team like the Saints in the playoffs when it's like Super Bowl on the line.
well, you know what I think is going to hurt them a lot. Not necessarily Rodgers, because Adams and Jones will still be amazing, and Aaron will be fine. They lost Bakatari, and you don't want to lose him. Left tackle is very important right now.
Line is very important in the playoffs.
Could I see like a Jordan and Davenport for the Saints just be menaces for Aaron Rodgers because they don't have the blocking up front? Yeah, I could. And in a game that might be a shootout, it's gonna be tough because I think they're gonna find themselves in some shootouts just because there's a lot of good offensive teams in the NFC. And when you drop back and pass extra, and you're gonna want your left tackle there, and he's not there, and it's gonna be tough. They're gonna feel that one, but I still think they're a good team. So we'll see. I'm excited for the playoffs, but
yeah, for sure, it's gonna be exciting. I mean, you look at it. We have playoffs for a month, and then a week of February, and then we're basically no football for 2 weeks. Then we have combine, end of February, free agency in March, then the draft in April, and then training camp. So, like you said, it's a 12-month sport.
Lock in, baby. This weekend's gonna be fun. We got the playoffs Saturday. This is the only thing I like about the 7 games. I don't necessarily love the 7 playoff teams. I kind of like the old format better. But this weekend is why I love the seven teams, because we can have 3 games on Saturday, 3 games on Sunday, nonstop football all day. I love that. And then follow up with the national championship on Monday, where you know what? I got 2 prospects in mind, Surtain and Devonta Smith, that are on my Eagles radar at that 6th spot, and I'm going to keep a close eye on both of them.
I will say I like Surtain better as a pro. I think Devonta Smith's phenomenal. His build kind of worries me at the NFL level. He's 6'1", 170. Like, he's very skinny. So I don't know.
But you know what? He's good for a team with uncreative play calling, which the Eagles showed all year, where you just get him the ball at any moment and he might be able to score a touchdown regardless of what the play call was, where he is on the field. And that I think is pretty good. But I'm still leaning towards Jamar Chase, my favorite wide receiver.
Yeah.
I'm still leaning as wide receiver in the draft at that 6th spot. I'm tempted because the Eagles are terrible and they don't have a single strength on this team. I don't think there's a strength anywhere in any positional group. If you drafted Surtain, or if you want to make an argument for that Virginia Tech guy Farley, if you have Surtain, Farley, and Slay as your corners, that is a strength. That is something you can build on. That's an identity you can create, which I don't mind. Do I really want to burn a wide receiver pick at 6 overall after we drafted one in the first round last year and the year before that in the 2nd round? No, but just because you invest in it with draft picks doesn't mean you solved your issue. We're inept at finding talent and drafting talent. So this is what you have to do. You have to draft the same position 3 times over again. But who knows? We'll see how he's running the show.
Who does Arcega-Whiteside think he is, going out and making good catches on Sunday night? Yeah, that one where he caught him.
You were trying to lose.
I know, and he's like, "All right, let me just ball out real quick." I was annoyed, but yeah, I think the idea of Surtain, or like you said, Caleb Farley with Virginia Tech next to Darius Slay for a couple of years, like,
nice. But you know what?
I wasn't super excited watching Kayvon Wallace the last few games, but I think he can grow. I think he can be a decent starting safety. He just needs like an off season, I think. But
I think you're hoping he grows. I really didn't see anything this year to be excited about him. But I saw him make some good. But that's what I'm saying. I saw him make some good plays. I didn't see him making anything, super exciting. I think he can be like maybe kind of like a McLeod, a little less. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, listen, the season's over. The 2020-2021 Eagles season is finally over. I feel like it's been over for the last 10 weeks, but it's finally done. We can just get into the draft. and I'm fine with that. We have a high pick. I'm excited. I hope they freaking hit it. I hope we don't get ridiculous with this pick. I hope it's nothing crazy. Just pick a good football player. That's all I ask.
Yeah, the last time that I can remember, well, I mean, the Giants took Daniel Jones, and then they took that offensive tackle who was ahead of other tackles.
Andrew Thomas.
No, the Raiders took a guy, what, Farley or what the hell is his name?
The Raiders have
Khalil something. I forget.
Well, they took Damon Arnett and they took Cleveland Farrell the year before.
Farrell, yeah,
overall.
That's what it was.
Yeah, the
Farrell
Raiders
was supposed to go to like the
players.
second round. They took him top 5.
That's a weird team because you still have Gruden. He's not going anywhere, and he's made progress. But again, that was a team that was trying to tank when the season started. They traded away their best players, Khalil Mack and Cooper. They had no interest. They had 3 first-round picks. They were looking to the future. I know they've improved, but they hit rock bottom when he came there. I don't know if they've improved as much as I think they were hoping, or Gruden were hoping, or what the expectations were. So
yeah.
we'll see.
I mean, Mayock's a good GM, even though those picks were kind of questionable.
We'll see. I don't know if I'm there yet because those picks were questionable. He reached on a couple guys. Arnett was the same thing this year, and they haven't really turned out. Like none of these draft picks are really hitting. Jacobs is good. I'll give you that, but.
Yeah.
He was drafted right where he was, late first-round pick, first running back off the board.
Yeah.
But who knew we were going to end this on some John Gruden Raiders talk?
Yeah, I mean, we'll have episodes about the draft coming up, so that'll be exciting. But
yeah,
till then, we have playoffs, and playoffs are exciting. So we, like you said, I'm looking forward to the 3 games Saturday, 3 games Sunday, even though I would still rather 2 teams have a bye, but we'll see how it plays out. We'll see how it works.
Hey, you know what? I'm for it. So, sounds good. Till we talk next week will be an international show as well. I'm going back to England, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Are you going to get football out there?
I'll find a way.
Okay.
I will find a way. I'll go back to my Reddit days if I have to. I watched a lot of Eagles when I was in Florida. My computer didn't run as fast after the season, but it's fine. I'll find a way.
I wonder why.
Yeah. Oh well.
All right.
Good talk.
All right. Till then.